Hi everyone, Anthony Wintano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Lil Yachty mixtape, Lil Boat 2. Lil Yachty is a Georgia rapper who's been making waves in the rap game for the past couple of years now, really ever since he started dropping some preliminary singles that ended up going viral from his original Lil Boat mixtape, which I liked quite a bit, which people still give me a hard time to this day for liking this mixtape. I enjoy this mixtape, okay? Let me live. What made this mixtape special for me is that it was packed with this really sunny, carefree trap with very goofy but kind of unique rapping from the king of teens himself. I love the really euphoric and unorthodox production on this thing, and the way it melded with a lot of Yachty's auto-tuned vocals and some of his other weird vocal inflections and ad-libs. Also, I loved the weird double persona duality thing going on with this project, the Yachty Boat double-sided identity. I mean, sure, Yachty is not the most skilled rapper in hip-hop, and he is far from the greatest lyricist the game has ever seen, but there were a lot of weird, eccentric, and unique qualities and characteristics about this tape that just made it kind of irresistible for me, despite some really obvious flaws. For me, Yachty was coming off as one of the true eccentrics in this new wave of whatever you want to call it, SoundCloud rappers, auto-crooners, mumble rappers. My worry, though, coming away from this project is that Lil Boat was essentially going to be a flash in the pan, it was going to be a fluke, and it seemed like that was going to end up being the case, because the following mixtape, Summer Songs 2, was kind of hurried, didn't really have as many fantastic tracks on it, although I didn't really put too much stock in that mixtape, didn't really shake me when I saw that I ended up being kind of indifferent toward it. But Yachty fell off hard with his commercial debut album, Teenage Emotions. It seemed like he might maybe come through on this thing, but this is easily one of the most over-bloated and just overdone commercial rap records of the decade. It felt like everything that made Yachty great originally, but just watered down to the point where it lost its appeal. Not only that, but there were just way too many tracks on this thing. Way too many tracks. Just really plain songs, expensive production, and all of the really uniquely weird qualities that made Lil Yachty special previously were just stripped out of his sound. And with all of this corporate oversight going into the album, he still managed to drop a bar where he mixed up a cello with a clarinet. Thankfully though, Lil Boat 2 is pretty much a return to form for me. Nothing on here sounds like it's trying too hard to be a hit or trying too hard to be serious. In comparison with the original Lil Boat tape, there is a similar balance of bangers and ballads on this thing, being delivered in this really raw, off-the-cuff fashion with a healthy dose of youthful exuberance. The major difference, though, with Lil Boat 2 and its predecessor is that there is a huge influx of these really dark, minimal, spacey trap tunes that didn't really play too much into the vibe of the last Lil Boat tape. Maybe Yachty's feeling kind of dark on this record, feeling kind of moody. A direction I don't really mind in concept, although it does seem like Lil Yachty has kind of abandoned the formal separation between the Yachty and Boat personalities. Maybe it's still here in spirit because Yachty hasn't totally abandoned the sound from the original Lil Boat tape, but the formality of the intro on that tape, along with some of the theatrics in between songs, were part of what made that project and Yachty special. By comparison, on Lil Boat 2, the song Self-Made is such an uneventful opener. I mean, it might say a lot about how Lil Yachty perceives his come up in the rap game, but it's not really much of an introduction to Yachty as an artist. So Lil Boat 2 isn't quite as thematic, it's not quite as well groomed and tightly sequenced as its predecessor. At the end of the day, it just kind of feels like a collection, a compilation of tracks, but it's still actually not a bad listen. This thing is a pretty decent collection of very fiery, low-key bangers, totally radiating this based energy with production that is consistently dark and kind of quirky. And yes, while it's not deep, it's not trying to be deep. It's just fun. It's just fun. There were a lot of highlights in the track list for me here. Love the song Boom with Ugly God. I love the cavernous hypnotic trap instrumental on this thing. The deep reverb, the very subtle but very hype ad-libs. The line about somebody taking one of Yachty's chains and then all they hear is boom. Ugly God's feature is actually not that bad. He changes up his flow a little bit and even dips into an auto-tune passage. He's kind of a chameleon here. The song Oops is really strange, bassy, and mega skeletal, super minimal, like everything you need, nothing you don't. Just a little bit of percussion here, a little bit of bass. There's like a lot of space in this beat, and Yachty kicks the song off with a pretty decent triplet flow. I do not get why people constantly rag on him for not being able to rap. Dude can clearly rap. There's some decent chemistry going on between him and 2 Chainz and K Supreme on the track, like they definitely complement each other on the song. The song Count Me In goes much harder instrumentally, is hilariously boastful. That one line on here about him stacking shit, call him Yachty Rothschild. There's tons of overblown bass on this thing and these reversed hypnotic arpeggios that are really trippy. The song She Ready with PNB Rock sounds like a airy, pretty trap ballad that could have been on the original Lil Boat tape, but a little bit sleeker, a little bit more commercial, a bit catchier. Definitely one of the better PNB features that I've heard since I caught whiff of the dude. I love the woodwind keys and leads as well. Meanwhile, the song Das Cap is cold, it's murderous, it's frightening. I love the Yachty line on this track about copping an island and putting himself on the map. Yachty continues to bring the viscera and the energy and the excitement and the hype with tracks like Pop Out, which is loaded with these shouty refrains and just, I don't know, these totally freaky ad-libs. Like they're not even thinking about what the ad-lib is going to be anymore. They're just like, Like, I just love the punky energy behind these tracks. I just can't deny it. Also, NBAYOUNGBOAT, which is probably one of the only times I will sit through NBA YoungBoy rapping, but whatever. Still, the beat was pretty incredible. Him and Yachty traded off nicely on the track. Another killer refrain on the song Flex, low-key beat. Flex on the fuck boys, hey, cause you suck, boy. Baby Daddy with a little pump goes over without a hitch. The closing track with Trippy Red is pretty nice too. I love that Trippy Red continues to explore some really weird vocal ideas. To me, he definitely stands out as one of these auto crooners. I just kind of wonder if he'll ever pull together a super tight, super solid taper album in the near future. Overall, Lil Boat 2, it's not a bad project. I like it quite a bit. I'm sure I will continue to get shit for enjoying Lil Yachty's music, but I mean, I just fucking do. And for me, the original appeal of Lil Yachty to begin with has returned on Lil Boat 2. Maybe he's not outdoing himself, maybe he's not going above and beyond or getting super ambitious with it, but this album for me has a ton of throttle. It has a ton of attitude. It has a lot of heart. He's just kind of throwing out this sporadic creativity and just letting the chips fall where they may. There are a few generic and kind of nondescript tracks that I think could have been cut from the project entirely, like the song Talk to Me Nice featuring Quavo, which just sounds like a Migos song without the rest of the Migos, but it features Lil Yachty. And I'm just so tired of their sound at this point. They've just oversaturated things, in my opinion. While I enjoyed the more low-key direction that Yachty took this project in, I feel like generally he overloaded Lil Boat 2 with a bit too much of that. It's kind of bloated. It's a little bloated. Meanwhile, songs like Love Me Forever, which was a very nice, airy, euphoric ballad, is just a minute and change, could have been so much longer and more fulfilling. But still, I'm pretty happy with the results of Lil Boat 2. I mean, didn't quite make the splash that Boat 1 did, but a lot of good things about this, in my opinion. I'm feeling a light 7 on this. Transition. Have you given this mixtape a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe, and please don't cry. Just leave a thoughtful comment in the comments if you're feeling full of thoughts. Over here next to my head is another Lil Yachty review you can check out, or hit up the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano. Lil Boat, forever.